Welcome, Fright Night Vault listeners. Tonight, we step into a tale carved from bone and steel, a story not of ghosts or demons, but of flesh, family, and madness. A story that begins with the hum of insects in the Texas heat, the air so thick it clings to your skin, and the endless whine of cicadas masking something far more sinister. The road stretched out forever, empty and sun-scorched, until it reached the kind of backwoods most never see, the kind the world forgets. Rusted farm equipment, houses sagging into the earth, and fields littered with bones, chicken, cow, perhaps not all animal. And in that place, something stirred. A house, far from the road, stood like a rotting husk against the horizon. From the outside, it looked abandoned, but inside, it breathed. Its walls lined with strange trophies, its tables crowded with scraps not meant for meals. Those who stepped inside said the air smelled of decay, sweet and sickly, clinging to their lungs. Strange noises echoed through its halls, groans, shrieks, the sound of something heavy being dragged across the floor. And in the silence between sounds, the feeling was always the same. You were not supposed to be there. It is in this place our story begins, with the house and with the family inside it. The heat pressed down heavier with each mile. Travelers who found themselves in this stretch of countryside often spoke of the same unease, a feeling that eyes watched them from the tree line, though no one ever stepped forward. It began small, strange sights on the roadside, a bundle of bones tied together with wire, the skull of a cow placed deliberately, staring outward like a warning sign, rusted barrels buzzing with flies, a smell on the air that turned stomachs, not quite rot, not quite slaughter, but something between the two. Those who dared approach the house found the door unlocked, almost as if waiting. Inside, the world twisted. Furniture stitched together from bones and skin. Lampshades made of something no one wanted to identify. Rooms that smelled of iron, of sweat, of blood cooked into the walls. And then came the sound. From somewhere deep in the house, a sputter, a roar, the metallic scream of a machine sparking to life. Heavy footsteps, breathing, muffled behind something thick. When it emerged, it was no phantom. It was flesh, a massive figure, face hidden behind something stitched and crude, eyes unseen, but movements heavy with purpose. In its hand, the weapon sang, the shrieking growl of steel teeth on a chain. Witnesses never had time to question. The figure did not speak. It did not taunt. It only hunted, charging with a weight that shook the floors, the roar of its weapon drowning out every scream. And always, once the sound began, there was no silence left. Only the chase, the walls shaking as prey tried to escape, and the laughter of something deeper in the house, something that watched, delighted by the terror. By the time the sun dipped behind the trees, the nightmare was fully awake. The travelers who had wandered too close found themselves trapped within a house that seemed to pulse with cruelty. The family revealed themselves one by one, not shadows, but flesh and bone, grotesque parodies of kinship. An old man whose hands shook but still insisted he had the strength to kill. A cackling brother who delighted in torment, laughing at every cry. And the hulking figure whose silence was worse than words, whose mask of stitched flesh hid the absence of humanity beneath. Dinner was no meal. It was a ritual. A table cluttered with bones, scraps of meat, objects that once belonged to those who never left. Guests were not fed. They were presented, trembling in their chairs, surrounded by faces that stared, wide-eyed and unblinking. The laughter, the taunts, the grotesque celebration of suffering. And then came the weapon again, the roar of the saw splitting the silence, its chain snarling as the giant lurched forward. Walls rattled, blood sprayed, screams pierced the night. Victims scrambled through windows, tore their skin on barbed wire, sprinted into the dark woods. But the sound always followed. That shrieking metal, closer, closer, chewing the air. Some swore the figure never tired, that the mask gave him no face, no fear, only hunger. His family laughed as he swung wildly, chasing prey through the night, his rage endless. The earth itself seemed to quake beneath his steps. The house, the family, the saw. Together they were not merely killers. They were something older, a cycle of cruelty perfected in isolation, unleashed when strangers stumbled too near. And for those who survived the chase, their sanity seldom did. When the sun rose again, the house stood silent. Its doors swayed open in the breeze, as if inviting more prey inside. The fields buzzed with insects, but no laughter came from within. Only memory clung to its walls, the shrieks, the blood, the endless whine of the machine. Those who escaped carried scars deeper than flesh. They spoke of the masked figure, the twisted family, the slaughter that seemed more ritual than murder. Authorities searched, but what they found was never enough. Bones, scraps, fragments of a nightmare that seemed too monstrous to be real. And yet, the story endured. It was carried into whispers, then into headlines, until it grew into legend. But legends often hide their seeds in truth. For though there was no single massacre, no chainsaw-wielding giant in Texas, there was a man whose crimes planted the seed of this tale. His name was Ed Gein, a grave robber and murderer from Wisconsin in the 1950s. Gein crafted masks and furniture from human remains, his house filled with horrors pulled from the graves of neighbors and strangers. He wore the skin of the dead, trying to become something other than human. It was this grotesque figure of history that inspired the monstrous mask of cinema. And in 1974, director Tobe Hooper unleashed the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, a film that stitched together America's unease, Gein's crimes, and the fear of isolation into one of the most shocking horror films of all time. It has since become more than a movie. It is a legacy, a reminder that the most terrifying monsters do not always come from the grave, but from the house next door. So, dear listeners, the story you have heard tonight is no invention. You can look it up yourself. It is called the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. This is the Fright Night Vault. Subscribe if you dare, and let the vault follow you home. See you in the next video. And remember, sometimes the sound you hear in the dark is not the wind, but the saw.